That sounds very bad.
Well, opinions are the problems. Opinion
Hmm?
makers are not opinion makers are the solutions. Anyways, I'm going to read you a book in a minute, Ho. I'm just,
What's the name of the book?
Tarot Meditations, Secret Key Activators of Dr. Paul Foster Case.
You believe in tarot cards?
Yeah, for sure.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Yeah, I'm just asking.
Well, I'm about to prove to you why I believe in them. They have power.
Oh my God. No, no, no.
Are you Christian?
I don't even believe in astrology. I don't.
Are you Christian?
I think it's all made up. No. I'm not religious.
You're not religious?
Mm-mm.
You're an atheist?
No.
Are you agnostic?
No. I'm just.
You just hope. You just you.
Yeah. You know what I mean? My spirit is well, and I focus on being, spiritually well, and breathing is important because that's like my spirit,
Got
If I'm unable to breathe, my spirit dies.
Got it. Okay, well,
Huh?
I'm going to do this meditation here.
Go ahead, my friend.
So, I want you to take the deepest breath of the day through your nose. Hold it for 10 seconds. 10, not 11. 10, not 9. Here we go. Let it go and say, I am a flower. Now take the second deepest breath of the day through your nose and hold it for 10 seconds. And say, I am a flower. This is the 8th meditation on Teth. My secret wisdom is hid in number, and in the sign of the tally is concealed the building of the whole creation. Number veileth the power of the Elohim. For number is that thick darkness whereof it is written, and Moses drew near unto the thick darkness where God was, and again. Tetragrammaton said that he would dwell in the thick darkness. Ye shall know that this darkness is Egypt. And by the wisdom hidden in that darkness did Moses lead Israel forth. The darkness which is Egypt, or is the darkness of number, concealing the one in the cloud of the many. Of that darkness the serpent is a sign, the great serpent, the royal snake of Egypt. This is the serpent of temptation. Yet from it cometh forth redemption. For the serpent is the first appearance of the anointed one, and that which casted Adam out from the garden of the east, even that shall bring him back once more to paradise. Thus in Teth is shown the secret of the going forth and the return. For Teth is the serpent coiled around the tower. This is the sign of the name of names which none may utter. Again, it is the symbol of the tree of divine perfections, encircled by the power of the letters wherewith is formed the whole creation. And because the tally referreth to counting, and so to all the works of number, by this letter do I show, first, that all things are brought forth through number, and second, that all works of power accomplished by the wise have number for their foundation. For the circle of the tally is the coiled fiery power which cometh from the sun. And to rule this, thou must learn to count aright. And thou shalt have oil for thy lamps, for the oil for lighting containeth the secret of the letter Teth. This is the oil which riseth like a serpent. The oil which thy father Jacob poured upon the stone in the house of strength. Verily, he who knoweth the secret of that stone knoweth also the secret of the serpent. And in him shall be fulfilled the saying when Israel was a child, that I loved him. and called my son out of Egypt. And he who knoweth this shall be a measurer of mercy, and all his works shall be rooted in the strength of my law. Okay, that's the meditation on Teth. I'm now going to read to you what's called the commentary. Teth, T-E-T-H, pronounced Taith, transcribed as T, the number 9, meaning serpent, the intelligence of the secret of all spiritual activities. The ancient form of the letter Teth was a crude picture of a tare in the form of a circle enclosing a cross. Miss Bauer, MSPR number, Raufo, ORPL darkness in Mizraim, MTZ, Z, RIM, the name given to Egypt by the Jews, are equivalent numerically to 380. The uraeus, or royal serpent, is the characteristic symbol of Egypt. Those versed in Egyptian wisdom will know how truly it may be said that the secret wisdom of this land is hid in number. In Egypt, Pythagoras learned the great mathematical principles embodied in his system. The same truths are summed up in the Great Pyramid. Nachash, NCHSH, the name of the serpent of temptation, is equivalent by number 358 to Messiah, or Messiah, MSH-ICH, the anointed one, or Redeemer. The serpent coiled around the tower refers to the ancient form of the letter Teth, a circle suggesting the serpent holding its tail in its mouth, enclosing a cross, which was the ancient form of the letter Tav, Tau. Circle enclosing a cross is a mathematical symbol of the name of names, IHVH, because every circle corresponds numerically to the number 22 and every cross to the number 4. Thus, the circle enclosing the cross represents 22 plus 4, or 26, the value of IHVH, the unutterable name. The cross, as the letter Tav, stands for the number assigned to Tav, 400. This number represents the total manifestation of the 10 Sephiroth in the 4 Kabbalistic worlds. Because each Sephirah is regarded as being itself tenfold, so that the numerical formula for complete manifestation is 10 by 10 by 4, 400. Hence, the cross of Tav is a symbol of the tree of divine perfection, and in the ancient form of Teth, the circle surrounding the cross is a symbol of the power of the letters. Because the total number of Hebrew letters is 22, and 22 is the characteristic number of any circle. Arithmetic is the basis of all practical occultism. A knowledge of the esoteric properties and uses of numbers is indispensable to every seeker for liberation. The coiled fiery power is the astral light symbolized by a coiled serpent. It is also the kundalini of the yogis, and much concerning it will be found in the writings of Madame Blavatsky, who calls it faux hot, and says outright the letter Teth is a symbol for faux hot. See also Arthur Avalon's serpent power in Shakti and Shakta. The lamps are the interior stars or chakras. The oil is the nerve force or modification of faux hot or kundalini. It is made to energize the lamps by means of exercises in which counting is essential because they include rhythmic breathing and rhythmic intonation of divine names. In Hebrew, Shemin Lam Wa, Sh, M-N-L-M-A-V-R, oil for lighting, is the number 667. This is the number of Sod, Ha, Pehluth, SVDHPOVL, VTH, secret of all spiritual activities, the name of the path of wisdom corresponding to Teth. Okay, that is my morning meditation. Mazel tov, Rabbeinu Shalom. Okay, Hope, did you like the morning meditation? I think I put Hope into a deep hypnotic trance. I was dating a girl. She had a dog named Hope. She eventually abandoned Hope, which was kind of funny. She dropped that dog back at the shelter. She said, "Bye, Hope. I had a lot of hope for you. Had a lot of hope for myself. I think that was what I was going for with the naming of the dog. Unfortunately, I let you shit all over the house." A metaphor for one's life. Shitting in one's house. Woo! Okay. This is the next reading. This is called the Bahir Illumination, attributed to Rabbi Nehunya ben Kahana, master of the first century esoteric school. It's called the Bahir, which is like be here. Be here now, be here now. Okay, I'm just going to read this is a really interesting book. Let's just go to a random page. Here we go. Okay, page 150. The teaching here includes the entire mystery of mikvah, the ritual pool used for purification. The mikvah contains 40 sas, measures of water, the 40 being the numerical value of mem. The mikvah thus represents the womb. When a person enters the mikvah, it is like he re-enters the womb, and when he emerges, it is like he is reborn. The concept of the mem is that of the present. Where water represents change, it is the present that is the arena of all change. The concept of water contains both male and female aspects. These are alluded to in the water above and below the firmament, respectively. Genesis 1:7, Yerushalme, Barachot 9:2. Masculine water is active change, while feminine water is passive change, the two being action and reaction, respectively. Number 87. As discussed earlier, hearing is bina, understanding, while seeing is chokmah, wisdom. Both are derived from thought, which is Keter crown. The concept of thought is like that of up. No matter how high one reaches, one can still go further. Therefore, with respect to thought, the word rise is used. While there is no limit as to how high one can go on an infinite body, on a finite body, such as the planet Earth, there is a limit how far down one can go, depending on the subject. There is a limit to how deeply it can be probed. Knowledge is the expression of the mind. No matter how deep the expression, it can ultimately be fathomed, but the mind itself cannot be fathomed. Similarly, the Merkava chariot is merely an expression of the divine, and not the divine itself. It is therefore called a vision. This vision consists of elements in the seer's mind interacting with the unseeable. The seer is therefore said to be above the vision, since it emanates from elements in his own mind. The concept of this covering, sukkah, coming from the same root as sechuta, has already been mentioned in passing from the verse, he made darkness his hiding place. His sukkah, the darkness of waters, thick clouds of the skies, shachachim. Psalms 18:12 is mentioned. Shachachim refers to the Sephirot of Netzach, victory, and Hod, splendor. The two Sephirot, which are the source of vision and inspiration, this, however, only comes through the concept of sukkah. The word sukkah has the connotation of both seeing and covering. Therefore, it is a cover through which one can see. When we speak of God's thought, we are speaking of a level where he surrounds all worlds. On the other hand, when we speak of the Merkava chariot, we are speaking of a level where he fills all worlds. We therefore can look down into our own soul to see him. Segol is a vowel point discussed above 36 besides being a vowel point. However, Segol is also a cantillation note. The 4 levels of expression are letters, ornaments, vowels, and cantillations. See Etz Chaim Shar Tinta 1, also see Table 5. Levels of expression. Level Asiya making, Yetzirah formation, Beria creation, Atzilut nearness, expression, letters, otiot, ornaments, tagan, vowels, sekadot, cantillations, ta, amim. As a cantillation, Segul is associated with Malkut kingship, as is the Zarka. Segul is the mode of above to below, while Zarka is below to above. These are respectively the concepts of motivation from below and motivation from above. The word Segul comes from the same root as Segulah, meaning treasury. It is called the treasury of kings, since it accepts from all the kings that are above it. The kings refer to the Sephirot as discussed above in 27 and 49. The word Zarka comes from the root Zarak, meaning to throw. It therefore represents the concepts of motivation from below, like something that is thrown upward. When something is thrown upward, however, it falls down again. And thus, a motivation from below results in a motivation from above. The latter is the treasury of kings. Zaka is the first letter of the cantillation notes, and it is followed by Sagul. The first must come, motivation from below, and only then is it followed by motivation from above. There are 2 praises of the angels. The first is holy, 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 the land of hope, the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is filled with his glory. Isaiah 6:3. This speaks of God's immanence, where his glory, which is the aspect of Malkut kingship, fills all creation. Second praise is the one quoted here, blessed be God's glory from his place. Ezekiel 3:12. This indicates his transcendence, where even his glory, which is Malkut kingship, the lowest level, must be blessed from afar. These 2 levels are the ones discussed above, where it was said that God both fills all worlds and encompasses all worlds. The word bless indicates the aspect in which God fills all worlds. This, however, comes from God's place, that is, passing all creation. Thus, when it is said, blessed be God's glory from his place, it means that the aspect in which he surrounds all worlds must be brought down so that he should fill all worlds. Between the aspect of his filling all worlds and his surrounding all worlds are the universes themselves, where God is hidden through the concept of Tzimtzum, constriction, Silikote Moharan. 64:2. The concept of Zarka is then to cross this abyss, and since one cannot reach across it, it must be thrown. We then bring the light from the aspect of surrounding all worlds to that of filling all worlds, which we can perceive through gazing in the Merkava. This is the Segulah, the treasure. Both filling and surrounding involve the word glory, kavod, which represents Malkut kingship. These 2 aspects are respectively represented by Zakal and Segul, the 2 cantillations indicating Malkut kingship. One throws thought to reach the level of surrounding, while the other is the treasure of filling. The author states this in highly mysterious language, which is also reproduced in the Talmud. The concept of a crown is something that surrounds, just like a crown encompasses the head. When God is called owner of heaven and earth, it means that he oversees all things with his providence. This being the concept of filling, we thus bring the crown, which is surrounding, to that of the head, which is Chokmah, wisdom, and blessing, which is the concept of filling. The entire verse is blessed be Abraham to God Most High, owner of heaven and earth. The concept of honor thus involves blessing. The accent is at the end of a word, indicating that it is actually the lowest level, but the concept of the crown, the surrounding, rises higher and higher without end. Like the concept of up, discussed above. The reason for this is that Keter crown is very closely related to Malkut kingship, this being the concept of the crown of the king. Even though one is the highest Sephira and the other is the lowest, they are connected through the concept of the beginning is embedded in their end. Sefer Yetzirah 1:7. Furthermore, all creation, Even the highest levels are nothing more than Malkut kingship of the infinite being, this being the mystery of the verse. Your kingship, Malkut, is a kingship of all worlds. Psalms 145:13. The stone mentioned here is called Dar, discussed in 190. How much more of this are we going to read? All right. The discussion now returns to the 32 paths first introduced in 63. Here they are said to parallel the 32 threads of the tzitzit. The tzitzit are the ritual tassels or fringes mentioned in Numbers 15:38. They are worn in the talit, as well as in the small talit katan, which is worn all day. The word tzitzit comes from the root zutz, meaning to gaze, since they are meant to be the object of contemplation and meditation. The Torah thus says regarding them, you shall gaze upon them and remember all of God's commandments and not stray after your heart and after your eyes. The talit covers the entire body. Where the tzitzit fringes hang down around the legs, as discussed earlier, the two legs parallel the Sephirot of Netzach, victory and Hod splendor, which are the source of prophecy and vision. The tzitzit fringes thus represent the concepts of the mystical vision. They consist of 32 threads, paralleling the 32 paths of wisdom, which are the paths upon which the initiate ascends. They are called the watchers of the paths, since their purpose, as spelled out in the Torah, is to prevent misleading thoughts, that you don't stray after your heart and after your eyes. The blue thread in the tzitzit fringes was colored with a special dye made from a moldas called the chilazon, most probably related to the murex and purpura. The blue thread is spoken of as an object of mystical contemplation. The blue is like the sea. The sea is like the sky. And the sky is like the throne of glory. Through it one climbs from the terrestrial to the astral and then to the transcendental. There are 4 tzitzit fringes in the talit, each having 8 threads, making a total of 32 threads. The 4 tzitzit fringes are said to represent the 4 basic concepts in each of the 4 universes. These are the 4 elements or stages of matter in the physical universe of Asiya making, the 4 archangels, Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, and Raphael. In Yetzirah formation, the universe of angels, the 4 legs of the throne in Bariah creation, which is the universe of the throne, and finally the 4 letters of the Tetragrammaton in Atzilut, nearness, the universe of Sephirot. The 4 tzitzit fringes are attached to the talit, a shawl-like garment that covers the body. This talit is said to represent the chasmo, electrum, mentioned in Ezekiel 1:4 in Kabbalistic teachings. The chasmo is the garment that protects from the klepot, husks of evil, also mentioned in the same verse, a storm wind, a great cloud, flashing fire. This is evident from the context. Ezekiel had to pass through these 3 klepot before he could experience his vision, which begins with the chasmo. It is therefore through the tzitzit fringes that this inner chasmo can be reached. The blue thread is a sign of Malkut kingship, indicating that God is king over all the paths. The example is a king who travels abroad. This is the divine essence when it is lowered so as to be the subject of a vision. The slaves are terrified of the king, lest they err, and he therefore gives them a sign, namely the tzitzit. The 7 white threads in the tzitzit correspond to the 7 elements of Zer Anpin, as discussed earlier in 82. The blue thread has the connotation of Malkut kingship, the daughter, and at the same time also indicates Bina, understanding. The 32 paths consist of the 10 numbers and the 22 letters. The 10 numbers correspond to the 10 Sephirot. The 22 letters are divided into 3 mothers, 7 pairs, and 12 elementals. The 3 mothers are the 3 horizontal baselines of the tree, while the 7 pairs are the 7 vertical lines. The 12 elementals are the diagonals. The three mothers and 7 pairs also parallel the 10 Sephirot. The three mothers are the 3 highest Sephirot, while the 7 pairs are the 7 lower ones. Each of the 7 pairs thus reaches upward from one of the lower 7 Sephirot. Left over are the 12 elementals corresponding to the 12 diagonals. The first statement is that each of these 12 elementals consists of 6 names. The 6 names parallel the 6 directions of a 3-dimensional continuum. Each of the 12 is thus a complete spatial continuum in its own right. The 12 diagonal paths themselves are in the world of Sephirot, which is the universe of absolute nearness. These are reflected in the 12 directors, which are the archangels in the world of the throne, which is the universe of Bariah creation. It is with regard to these archangels that Isaiah said, I saw God sitting on a high and exalted throne. Above him stood the seraphim, archangels, each one had 6 wings. He is speaking of the archangels that are in the world of the throne. Each of these director archangels has 6 wings, and these correspond to the 6 powers that it has in the world below the throne, the world of angels, which is the universe of Yetzirah formation. This makes a total of 72 powers. Each of these power angels is the guardian angel of one of the 72 nations corresponding to the 72 languages. These are the reflection of the powers in the physical world. As mentioned above, even though Asiya making includes the physical world, it is primarily its conceptual aspect. The level of Asiya making is therefore spoken of as the 72 languages rather than as the nations. Languages are conceptual rather than a physical entity, and the languages represent the 72 ways of expressing worldly concepts. On a deeper level, each of the 72 languages has a root in God's name of 72 elements. Therefore, any of these languages can be used to enter the realm of the mysteries. This reflects the Midrashic teaching where Elijah said, I bring heaven and earth to bear witness that any human, Jew or Gentile, man or woman, freeman or slave, according to his deeds, he can be worthy of Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, the transcendental experience. Tana Debe Eliyahu Rabba 9. These 72 elements exist in all 4 universes, making a total of 288. This is the significance of the 288 sparks of holiness that exist in creation. See Etz Chaim Shah Rapak Netzutzin. The tree is the array of the Sephirot connected by the 32 passes in the diagram. This diagram contains 12 diagonal paths corresponding to the 12 diagonal directions as outlined in Sefer Yetzirah. These 12 paths also correspond to the 12 signs of the zodiac, the 12 months of the year, and the 12 primary functions of the body. They also correspond to the 12 tribes and the 12 ways in which the 4 letters of the Tetragrammaton Yahweh can be permutated. These directions are said to spread to infinity. By trying to penetrate this infinity, one can approach the tree, thus reaching its paths. The quotation from Sefer Yetzirah therefore says, inside them is the tree. They are called the arms of the world, a term borrowed from the verses Prize in the skies, Shachachim. The dwelling is the God of eternity, Kedem, and underneath are the arms of the world, Deuteronomy. As mentioned in a number of places, the term Shachachim always refers to Netzach victory and Hod splendor. The 2 Sephirot involved in prophecy and inspiration. The verse then says that a dwelling is the God of eternity, indicating that God is eternal beyond space and time. The word for eternity here is Kedem, a term that generally applies to Keter Crown. God is called a dwelling, since he also encompasses space and time. Therefore, underneath this concept are the arms of the world, the infinities of the diagonal boundaries that define space. As discussed earlier in 30, creation consists of 5 dimensions, consisting of space, time, which is the 4th dimension, and 5th spiritual dimension. In the Sefer Yetzirah, these are divided into 3 major concepts: the universe, which is the 3 dimensions of space, the year, which is the time dimension, and the soul, which is the spiritual dimension. All 22 concepts, paralleling the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, are reflected in each of these 3 categories. Okay, that's all I'm going to read from this book. It goes on and on and on. It's a very big book. It's a lot of information in there. I tried, when I first bought this book, I tried to read it, and I had absolutely no idea what the fuck I was reading, and I hated it. But now I actually understand it, which is kind of amazing. Oh, but basically, Hope, thanks for being here. I'm going to read one final book in my morning meditation. But before I do that, I want to thank all of my YouTube viewers and Instagram Live viewers, and thanks for being in the Zen book or Zen Tao with Zen. This is Republican in Republican Chicago. Yeah, Hope, you're on my morning podcast, by the way. Okay, this is called The Book of Lies by Aleister Crowley. This is called number 56, Trouble with Twins. Holy, 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 unto 555 times holy be Our Lady of the Stars. Holy, 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 unto 156 times holy be Our Lady that rideth upon the beast. Holy, 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 unto the number of times necessary and appropriate be Our Lady Isis in her million of names. All Mother, Genetrix, Meritrix, yet holier than all these to me is Layla. Night and death for her do I blaspheme alike the finite and the infinite. So wrote not Freddo Podorabo, but the imp Crowley in his name. For forgery let him suffer penal servitude for 7 years, or at least let him do pranayama all the way home? Nay, but to the house of the harlot, whom he loveth not, for it is Layla that he loveth. And yet who knoweth which is Crowley, and which is Frada Podorabo? Commentary. The number of the chapter refers to Liber Legis 1:24, for paragraph 1 refers to Nuit, the twins. In the title of those mentioned in paragraph 5, 555 is had. Spelt in full, 156 is Babylon. Paragraph 4 is the gist of the chapter, Layla being again introduced as in chapters 28, 29, 49, 55, the exoteric blasphemy. It is hinted in the last paragraph may be an esoteric arcanum, for the mastery of the temple is interested in Malkuth, as Malkuth is in Bina, also Malkuth is in Ketha, and Ketha is in Malkuth. And to the ipsissimus dissolution in the body of Nuit, and a visit to a brothel may be identical. That's funny. Okay, Hope, are you still with us? Thanks for being here. Hope's like, oh, I'm doing my thing. I'm working. You my goddamn radio. You my podcast. Thanks for giving me all your wisdom. Okay, it's number 57, the duck-billed platypus. Dirt is matter in the wrong place. Thought is mind in the wrong place. Matter is mind, so thought is dirt. Thus argued he, the wise one, not mindful that all place is wrong, for not until the place is perfect by a T, saith he, place it. The rose uncrucified droppeth its petals, without the rose the cross is a dry stick. Worship then the rosy cross, and the mystery of 2 in 1. Worship him that swore by his holy tea that one should not be one except in so far as it is 2. I am glad that Layla is afar, no doubt clouds love. Commentary. The title of the chapter suggests the 2 in 1, since the ornithorhynchos is both bird and beast. It is also an Australian animal like Layla herself, and was doubtless chosen for this reason. This chapter is an apology for the universe. Paragraphs 1 through 3 repeat the familiar arguments against reason in an epigrammatic form. Paragraph 4 alludes to Liber Legis 152. Place implies space, denies homogeneity to space, but when place is perfected by T, as it were, yoni by lingam, we get the word placid, meaning it pleases. Paragraphs 6 and 7 explain this further. It is necessary to separate things in order that they might rejoice in uniting, which is paraphrased in the penultimate paragraph. In the last paragraph, this doctrine is interpreted in common life by a paragraph of the familiar and beautiful proverb, absence makes the heart grow fonder. P.S. I seem to get a subtle aftertaste of bitterness. It is to be observed that the philosopher, having first committed a syllogistic error quaternus term minorum in attempting to reduce the terms to three, staggers into non-distributia medi. It is possible that considerations with Sir W.M. Hamilton's quantification of the predicate may be taken as intervening, but to do so would render the humor of the chapter too subtle for the average reader in Oshkosh, for whom this book is evidently written. Okay, this is 58 Haggai Howlings. This will be the last thing I read on my morning meditation podcast. Haggard am I, an hyena. I hunger and howl. Men think it laughter. Ha ha ha! There is nothing movable or immovable under the firmament of heaven, on which I may write the symbols of the secret of my soul. Yea, though I were lowered by ropes into the utmost caverns and vaults of eternity, there is no word to express even the first whisper of the initiator in mine ear. Yea, I abhor birth, ululating lamentations of night. Agony, agony! The light within me breeds veils, the song within me dumbness. God! In what prism may any man analyze my light? Immortal are the adepts, and yet they die. They die of shame unspeakable. They die as the gods die, for sorrow. Would thou endure until the end, O Frater Perdurabo? O lamp in the abyss? Thou hast the keystone of the royal arch. Yet the apprentices, instead of making bricks, put the straws in their hair and think they are Jesus Christ. O sublime tragedy and comedy of the great work. Commentary. Haggai, a notorious Hebrew prophet, is a second officer in a chapter of the Royal Arch Masons. In this chapter, the author, in a sort of raging eloquence, bewails his impotence to express himself, or to induce others to follow into the light. In paragraph 1, he explains the sardonic laughter, for which he is justly celebrated as being in reality the expression of this feeling. Paragraph 2 is a reference to the obligation of an entered apprentice mason. Paragraph 3 refers to the ceremony of exaltation in Royal Arch Masonry. The initiate will be able to discover the most formidable secret of that degree concealed in the paragraph. Paragraphs 4 through 6 express an anguish to which that of Gethsemane and Golgotha must appear like Whitlow's. In paragraph 7, the agony is broken up by the sardonic or cynical laughter to which we have previously alluded. And the final paragraph, in the words of the noblest simplicity, praises the great work, rejoices in its sublimity, in the supreme art, and the intensity of the passion and ecstasy which it brings forth. Note that the words passion and ecstasy may be taken as symbolical of yoni and lingam. Okay, Hope, thanks for being here. Without you, none of this would have been possible. I'm drinking seltzer water, so it's making me kind of burpy. Oh, it's sparkling water. It's not even seltzer water. Oh, it's mineral water. Low sodium. How much sodium is in this shit? 4% of your daily value for calcium and 4 servings per container, so there's only 1% of your daily calcium needs in this thing. It doesn't even mention anything about salt. This is called Cisovianca. Carbonated natural mineral water, medium mineralization, aerated and filtered, bottled at the source. Cisovianca by producer Nalecho Zidroj. Dzierżuci, Nalecho, Poland, Europe. Total mineral content 742 milligrams. Ca to the second plus 133, Mg to the second plus 21.9, Na plus 11. Keep it away from direct sunlight, avoid freezing. Stored in an odor-free, dry place. Best before dates below the cap. Best before the dates below the cap. Which is... Does it even say? It doesn't say. How old is this shit? 1771, they've been making it. They've been making this. This company has existed since 1771. That's amazing. Okay, that's my whole show. The show's over, Hope. Why are you? The show's over. Go home. Go home. The show's over. The show's over. Okay, maybe it's not totally over yet.
I've read the Bible. I've read several different, honestly, and often Native Americans too. You know, they have different type of writings and petroglyphs and that kind of stuff. I really feel like they're all saying the same flipping thing, and I don't understand the argument of the whole entire thing. It just makes me just.
There is no
shake
argument.
my.
It's all the same thing.
That's not true. It's just like your opinion that it's all the same thing.
Okay, well, I'll accept that too.
Similarities.
Chris accepted that.
Yeah, for real. I mean, if you really reread it, then there's way too many similarities, and for them all to be wrong.
It's still just like your opinion that there's similarities. There's 72 languages on the planet. They're all distinctly different.
Zen, there's at least 4,000 languages.
Yeah, but at a fundamental level, all languages are the same.
Yeah, they are. Actually, Chomsky proved that.
No, Chomsky's a liar. He's a fraud.
Okay, so Zen, I'm gonna just remove you because you're a troll.
Farewell. Good luck. Stay angry.
Let me have a piece of it.
Somebody screamed out, "Let me get a piece of him." That was so funny. So that was called like Coffee with Jawal, and he's got like a picture of a clover in there. So I don't really see any other interesting rooms. Let's see if there's anything. Random voices only, anti-cloning.
You just drive a couple hours instead of...
Is it eVTOL? Yeah.
People probably look at that and they're like, what could be there?
Yeah, young people's particularly the white. I've been trying to get doctors here since 2002, really vigorously.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always the recruit, the front-facing hook on the contract. Write the contract, make the deal for them. Oh, 150 is not enough. 185. I get always. I've been running someone else's book at first for the non-profit, so I was there. So, listen, motherfuckers, if you want doctors here, you got to pay 25% more than the average for doctors. So
Right? Yeah, it's gonna make them want to be there.
even then, I've done about 100 doctors, believe it or not, over the years.
What do you mean done 100 doctors?
I have called them, found them, had someone on my team call them and put them to me, and then just pitch them like a G, And
Wow.
And hey,
Wow.
and mostly it's an Indian doctor, a Pakistani doctor, a Somalian, some sort of East African. It's all. I found a way to get in on that H-1 visa, exactly where all the referrals go. Then I contract with them to get all of the referrals. It's not illegal. It's just no one focuses on it. And then each state has a person who puts these immigrants to work.
Yeah.
And it's called a rural health officer, which is from state to state. And so I just got to know really well in Virginia, West Virginia, and Tennessee those people.
Gee.
And just 3 people, right? It's not that hard.
And did you figure that all out by yourself, or is somebody else doing that somewhere else in your?
I was working for Wellmont. It's like a nonprofit called Ballot Health now. So Ballot, one of the best guys in the country, is their immigration lawyer.
Okay.
So I was there. I was the contact for Ballot with that guy, right, to get all the
Okay.
So I sat there and watched everything he was doing on the first few contracts, and then started understanding like the contracts. Then when I peeled my company off 4 years later to do all what I learned privately, then I just literally copy and paste their fucking contract from Louisiana from the good lawyer, along with hire our own lawyers
Sure.
to slowly, do all of their shit. But this shit requires an email tonight after we talk, to be sent and stuff like that. So I got pretty good at writing contracts and understanding the clauses for doctors. But yeah, and then getting them to shake hands and sign it, I would countersign a CEO of the company or medical director of Valid or CEO of my company. So it's about 10 or 12 people like that every year, and the years keep going by. You know what I mean? You just lose count after a while. It's just an enormous engine of
So good. So good.
U.S. Eagles being placed on stamps on these guys. So you help them, they're getting their citizenship. So they'll forever look at you as the guy who helped bring them to America.
Oh my gosh.
So you'd think I would have an army of guys who are loyal to me, but I got over 100.
Yeah.
There's 3, but those 3 stay here out of 100. So it was a demonstration to kind of show not just how badly they leave, but they all leave, literally.
They all leave. Yeah. Wow.
Hey, Evital. Thanks.
Just had some special connection.
What was that, Evital?
The ones that did stay, it just happened to be a special connection with the area, and the wife got a job somewhere else locally, and it just happened to stick that way.
Do you think they left because of money, or did they leave because they didn't like the environment?
Clearly because of the environment, because the money was always, I made sure it was on par or greater, because we felt that that's a barrier. That's fair.
But didn't they have
written into the barriers for the doctors for what makes them happy?
Mm-hmm.
And a sense of control is really what makes them the most happy, more than the money. So we made sure to get the money up, made sure to have it pro-doctor, very much a place I would like to work in terms of how I chose my schedule. I made it very slick for these guys.
But didn't they have to do rural medical work, though? Isn't that the problem?
Yeah, we live rurally. I operate in a rural area.
Yeah, so most people want the conveniences of a city, no? Do you think the reason why most people leave after they, cash in for a bit and then bounce out?
Yes, exactly. Well, the conveniences of the city becomes a vague kind of area to understand. Because it's not the money, it's not the control. They don't, it's not even the doctor, what I've come down to. Because I get in granular with this. I go in on the exit. Listen, man, is there anything we could have done better?
Wow.
Especially on the ones I like. It's the wives, almost universally. The guys are married, and the wives want to get the fuck out of here. Culturally, they feel they'd rather be around mosques and temples and it's first generation fresh off the boat shit is what it is. It's fresh off the boat fears of the white or some. I'm sure it's something. It's these women they want to be around their culture. That's the straight way to say it without inferring any of the.
Are you sure that you're not projecting though?
No. Well, no. Without any of my other projections and inferences, they just want to be somewhere culturally. They want to move for culture. 2 words. For the culture. 3 words. Okay.
So culture matters is what you're saying.
Number 1, yeah, I'd say. Why it matters is a whole thing of influence.
But don't you think they're just being lazy though? Because if they wanted to reproduce their culture, they could. It would just take more work. That's what I'm saying.
It's impossible for even 3 doctors to properly get a temple or a mosque or a synagogue, which we have all 3 here in Bluefield. They do it, by the way. I'm just trying to. Strong communities will end up doing that. with each of their minority religions. But that's having the local mosque with the, Muhammad and Javed and yada yada. This is the same mullahs are sitting around and having their little club party up there in Princeton, like 10 miles away. It's nice. It's better than what the Indians did, and all our Indian community is gone. I'm the only me, my brother, and Raj, my best friend, who owns half of this place. We're the kids of doctors who moved here in the 80s, 70s, and 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And out of all the doctors, and literally this is another 100-person sample size. Out of the 100 kids I know and personally know that I grew up with in Weiss County and Tazewell County, Virginia, there's a huge circuit of parties. Every weekend we'd be at some auntie's house or another. It's literally like 30.
Where did they all go? California or Texas?
All gone away,
Florida?
but all doing very, very well. All the kids are doing very well, but they went to UVA and then up the chain, or this way and up the chain, or here and out to Austin. The engineers went that way.
Yeah.
The lawyers went toward DC and New York, and
money.
now the parents are sitting here. The parents have all moved out because they have all moved to retirement areas together, mostly around DC area. That's the story of the Indians of the mountains.
It's amazing how if you have a nice house, it doesn't really matter where you live.
Well, that's just because you're reasonable like me, but you're not going to understand that other people, 99% of people, are looking around at who's here. I want to be with someone else. I want to be with the culture.
On the other side, if you have a shitty apartment, does it also not matter where you live?
No, I'm telling you, like, if you've ever been 5150, which means you got like locked up for a psychiatric hold, there's only 3 things that they're concerned with in a psychiatric ward. Do you know what those 3 things are?
Food, water,
drugs.
No. It's just the 3 most basic things you need to survive.
I mean, that's how I roll, Brian.
Yeah, that's important to me. Yeah.
No, I'm telling you that in terms of ranking the 3 most important and essential things in your brief existence on this planet Earth, what are the 3 things that you need most of all?
Drugs, sex,
alcohol. Listen, you're projecting. My point is, it's clothing, it's housing, and it's food. And if those are really the only 3 things, and clothing is pretty average, and food and housing are essentially the 2 things that have the biggest bell-shaped curves in existence. That's the whole meat and potatoes of existence is housing and food.
I love it, and I look at totally the market is kind of like that too. I agree completely. I would add safety in there. It's vague, ephemeral, but it is there. Someone has to fucking provide that, the warmth and safety, quote unquote. So healthcare comes in, law enforcement comes in, master planning, just how things are set up come into this. But safety or just feeling good. Good is good. That requires a couple other major systems. So the disappearance of the Indians, if it was you, we're talking, Brian, in the Appalachian Mountains, the whole area is filled with Indians in the 70s, 80s, early 90s, and then...
When you say Indians, you mean Native Americans?
Oh, we're talking my kind. So
okay, your kind, yeah.
Yeah. The Indian immigration waves of doctors that took rural jobs, they did a great job of kind of huddling together, having good, vibrant communities that actually work well for the patients, extremely well for the patients. You got like networks of guys descending onto mountain towns.
That's pretty cool, actually. I'm sure that really improves the quality of life for people in the mountains.
Yeah, lives saved. It's just where do you even start? Because it's entire healthcare systems. Kids of these, it's about 80 families in these 2 counties. The kids number well over 100 that I'm familiar with their stories. And then when you look at it out of that, 150, 160 kids, there's 4 left in the 2 counties. So it's extremely poor kids. Me, my brother, my best friend Raj, and the good lawyer from Penn Stewart, whose dad was a doctor. He's not my friend, but I know him. His dad and my dad worked together. But how is it only 4 people in 3 contiguous counties in a place where there used to be? Well, that's because there was no opportunity, quote unquote, but not really. It's just not stylish. It's not fashionable. No parent would think. And you know how stupid it is that Alpha coal and also this is the coal heartland for met coal for the world essentially. It's the hottest burning coal in the fucking world here. And we're sitting there, we being the Indian community, looking down on miners and not investing in coal mines like a fucking idiots in this recent crash after Obama too. I felt it. I just didn't have the knowledge or the money really at the time. But our networks instead just bought out of the area. It looked bad to their credit, but it's always looked bad in these mountains in terms of economically. But what Zen was saying with the food, shelter, your basic needs, and a vibrant, strong community, it's got all the basics that you'd want. So am I smarter than others? No, I just think I've got a more smooth brain, and I can feel like what's important. I can see that a little clearer than people who are focused on getting to the city, and now post-pandemic, you see that return. I don't think that's going away in terms of people are going to be concerned about long-term. The cities are great. You can't beat them. Maybe I'm just I think I was just too dumb, to go to the cities. That's it. I'm cool. I'm good with it now. It's worked out better, but it's just how I stumbled into this.
Yeah, I think it was nice to live. Well, I guess I didn't ever live in a small city, but I lived in the South. But I don't know, young people my age kind of end up moving to New York or another place just because there's so many young people.
I thought you were in Colorado. Is that correct?
Well, that's where I'm from. I live in New York City.
Do you consider Colorado the South?
No, I went to college in Atlanta.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I consider Colorado the West.
So I would bet if you looked at the Jewish American networks from Colorado or something that's like...
Dude, Evie was in this room with me yesterday, and there was a Turkish guy with us, and I guess I angered him. Not actually angered him, but I was like, yeah, if you live in like Turkey or another country, I believe your systems of governance, your economy, everything to be inferior to America. When you say stuff like this, I'm like, yeah, not only are their systems of governance inferior, but like honestly, their culture is also inferior to the West.
Well, polygamy, is one of those things where it's not polygamy if you're not married. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a bachelor or a ladies' man dating 500 women and not calling that polygamy because there's no lawyers or contracts involved.
In the West, or
yeah, in the West, what's the difference? There really is no difference in term. People are people. The laws, the customs, the languages.
Women can date. Like, would the difference be women can date 500 men in the West as well?
Yeah.
But then over there, like
That's
the woman,
true.
those 4 women, they're they probably can't even leave the home without the man.
That's true. But this is also tribal, and they've limited resources, so everything is very conservative. There's no OnlyFans and Instagram models in motherfucking Sudan. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's first world, hypnosis versus third world survival.
Yeah, and that's what gives the third world survival edge. It's when you're looking at the India indexes or INDA or something like that versus, I got universe of the U.S. stock market, but leave that alone and check China or some of these others. But I think moral depravity, moral decay is at the root of a lot of problems. And so, and when you have to rush out the vote on their parents,
I have a big performance tonight. I'm a singer. I'm not feeling so great. I just need to get in touch with my doctor.
that's what you're thinking.
Well, I went in the line. Does anybody have a phone?
Yeah, I want to worry about me. I want to worry about what's going on with me and my family. I don't care about the society so much right now, especially after the pandemic. So that I think that's everybody. That's how everyone feels, and that doesn't work so great. You don't work so hard once you start feeling like that. I start thinking about the beach and trying to eat some fish or something nice. I don't start thinking about going to work to an master and how to gainfully employ under some company that's not exactly right. And that's what you got. You got nobody to fill the jobs.
How did they bring the Iron Man suit to life? It was not as simple as it looked on screen. First, they had to capture every detail of Robert Downey Jr.'s body using plaster and silicone molds. Then they crafted the suit out of plastic that could bend and conform to his shape. But the final touch was added in post-production. The actor wore a green suit underneath the plastic armor so that they could overlay the stunning computer graphics later. How did they bring the Iron Man suit to life? It was not a...
I guess anything below sub-Saharan or anything sub-Saharan but not only that. Yeah, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam. Yeah, that's a good point.
You do have the shitholes of South America, which is somewhat questionable if they're even that bad.
Yeah, I would say Colombia, Venezuela, Guatemala, those are really that bad, but like Argentina, it's pretty good. Brazil, though, might become a communist country. Like, we should have our eye on that. Argentina was one election away from becoming a communist country. And then I guess I'm pointing that out.
John Kitover, 45th Ward, Chicago Republican Committeeman in the Chicago Republican Association. I want to show you what Midwest Decay looks like and white.
They can just come and take
things right here. Look at this.
Well, they just need to, just what I always say, essentially, is that, like, America has pretty much proved the way you become rich. We proved that through other countries, too. Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, even China's really shown how you become rich too. Israel's also another example. Essentially all you need is capitalism, a democracy, protection of rights, a strong legal system, and as little corruption as possible. And your country will always develop. But people see this formula and they're like, but what if I were to mix communism in it?
Brian.
That's not.
Well, can I read you something that I read this morning, just like 2 sentences?
Go for it.
Okay, let me get the page. Hold on one sec. Okay, I got it. Listen to this. This is the last verse of this meditation on the word teth, which means strength. It says, "Verily, he who knoweth the secret of that stone knoweth also the secret of the serpent, and in him shall be fulfilled the saying when Israel was a child, then I loved him, and called my son out of Egypt. And he who knoweth this shall be a..."
Wait, can you tell me where this is from?
Yeah, it's from a book called The Book of Tokens, Tarot Meditations by Dr. Paul Foster Case.
Oh, okay. I was just making sure you weren't reading a cult book to me or something.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
This is an occult book. And called my son out of Egypt. And
Zen specializes in the occult.
And he who knoweth this shall be a measurer of mercy, and all his works shall be rooted in the strength of my law. So what I'm saying is, like, I don't want to say that that's supremacy or supremacist ideology, but the law is joy. The law is strength. And like you said, if there's not a strong legal system, there's no joy in the society. There's no joy in the culture. You are mongroids. You are nomads. You are Neanderthals without law.
Yeah, well, it's also just like if you do something that's wrong and you don't go to prison for it, nobody's really safe, right? Like you hurt somebody or you steal something from somebody, people don't feel safe in your society. They won't contribute as much to it. If the legal system isn't strong, it's also probably, corruption is more likely to happen. Like if somebody does something bad, like fraud, can't take them down. There's a lot of issues, but people have argued that the reason why America developed so well was because of our legal system.
Yeah, the legal system's great. And then, so in America, hypocrisy is looked down on also. People will shoot you for cheating in cards. You'll shoot you dead for cheating in cards. This is the American way of, I don't say it's good to hurt anybody, but you don't cheat. You can lay the rules and fucking play. And the problem is the outright, when people are rigging things, it should be done without the full view of everybody. Everyone knows that. Even Cat that did shit knows that.
I played it a.
They're embarrassed when they're, so you can't just shit on the floor and then stand there as everyone comes in. As everyone comes in.
Evital, I played in a poker tournament once with a bunch of friends, high school friends, post college, and my best friend, funniest guy in the world. We're having so much fun. He gets knocked out and he leaves for the night, and we play hours more in this tournament. Finally, it's over, and we go to break up the pot, and the money is fucking gone, and we're all like, fuck. Our best friend stole all the money when he left, and he never admitted to it. He just laughs at us, like that's life.
Yeah, that's with the friends game. You can do that. You do that in the casino, you'll be famous around the country.
I know.
The guy did that last year. He, by the way, that there is no rule. Okay, so the money goes all in. It's $1,000. It's like a several $1,000 pot because by the time it gets to the river, there's already 2,000 in the center. The river card comes. The bad guy goes all in. He gets called. Okay. The guy who's calling has a full house. The bad guy takes his chips, which is like $2,000. He brings his chips back, puts them in his pocket. He puts them in the rack and just walks straight out. He just walks straight out. They're like, hey, come back. And apparently there's no rule against that. Some kind of sort of game enforcement or other. So, yeah, everyone talked about that guy. He was really famous. And they show pictures and stuff of him. So there's a self-enforcing laws more than feel like to me are more important than the laws on the book. Because if the people themselves don't buy in, the community doesn't buy into laws or decorums, you'll never report or things never work properly. It's like that's where the moral decay piece is. It's like the laws are broken inside the people. It's not even on the book, Brian. On the book or on the enforcement, to me, is a moot point if the people themselves their own laws are broken down.
Yeah, that's the other piece of it. That's a good point. What is the Zen? What is your Z? Does your Z stand for Zen?
Yeah, but Z is also like the last letter in our alphabet. So my middle name is also Z. I just think individual letters. It's kind of interesting to just pontificate or be amazed at just a letter. And think about what it really means because it's a number. It's not just a letter. And so in a cult, numbers carry weight. Numbers and the gematria and all these symbols have corresponding numbers, like the word fish or marriage or man or you. All these proper nouns have letters and numbers And, through that understanding, you can see essentially the GOD, which is, intelligent design. So but again, this is like linguistic hypnosis or dialectical, what is it? What's that called? Anyways, you get my point, is that words are magic, and that if you can control your thoughts, you can, in many ways control your destiny or your providence.
I stopped playing so much because I just got tired all of a sudden.
Yeah, I reject Zen's occultism, Crowley, and such. I feel that they were really good charlatans who came up and just gave them the pizzazz to everybody who followed them. They were just acting around, fooling around. Basically, almost like the Scientology guy, come up with the story,
Yeah.
get really into it, get pumped up, get everyone else pumped up. This guy probably was half doped up with who knows
Oh
what.
yeah, but the thing is, it's all Freemasonry. Freemasonry is exactly what this is. It's all Kabbalah, which is it's an angelic system. These four universes with all these angels, and it's witchcraft. It's sorcery. It's demonic, satanic, Luciferian trolling or LARPing. I think there's probably bad actors within the group. No doubt. Every group has charlatans and evil, nasty faggots that want to rape your children. I think that's just a fact. But I'm saying when you read Crowley, it doesn't appear that way for him personally. He seems to be a man of style, or he's bourgeoisie, or he's cosmopolitan. He's a dandy, and you're a dandy too, Evie Tall. I'm a dandy. If you like money and you like the finer things in life, and you don't like stress and you don't like bullshit, and you're just like a nice person, you're kind of a dandy. There's just so many angry fucking people out there. I just can't even believe it. People have no escape, no catharsis, they can't prick themselves and let their fucking anger get out through a release mechanism. And that's really what
There's no way to release it because it's institutional stress placed on everyone. So unless you can make some choices to discard those stressful relationships, which
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying is that you control your thoughts, and many people just have automated response syndrome where they haven't conditioned themselves enough to stop having auto emotional Down syndrome.
Everybody gets it. Okay, any monk who's just walking around monking out and just saying oh like that, even they're getting into that. So everybody's controlling their thoughts for sure, and I agree. But that doesn't give it the trademark to Crowley. He may be the first person to say it in English to make sense. And
Well,
he may be a good guy, you say, but he seems to be into some stuff that's not so good.
well, listen, I don't care about that. I'm just looking at the information in an agnostic, non-participatory way. I'm not in a cult. I'm not a Freemason. I'm a baptized Christian. My father's a Jewish Christian. My mother's a Christian. And I'm a guy in my underpants sipping coffee, talking to random voices, and I don't want my voice cloned. Just kidding.
You're crazy, man, but we're all doing the same thing, probably. That's a funny
Yeah, I mean, if you shit on me, you shit on yourself. If you dunk on other people, you dunk on yourself. I mean, that's why I say, like, I catch myself projecting on this app. And so when I hear other people, I go, they're projecting, and they're not even aware of it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Like when I was talking about why the people leave the Appalachians, you're like, wait a second, you're projecting a little bit. It's a correct question, and I am projecting the reasons they leave. But once you leave the reasons they leave out of it, it just becomes factual that they're leaving. But any conversation is always about that what's going on is like what's the reasons for something. So it's all any conversation worth having is going to require projection and prediction of what's going to happen, what's so-and-so doing, why are they doing it. This is all projection.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is from like a psychotherapeutical perspective, we use this app as a talk therapy to help us constantly redefine essentially our to-dos or our, mind's eye vision cast. So I'm just saying that like we are using this app, in a way subconsciously, just like how when you go to sleep, your body is repairing itself, or when you make a bowel movement, and all these things are working behind the background that you have absolutely no conscious, awareness of. And I'm just telling you that by using this app is actually probably more of a medical device technology company than it is some kind of data gathering or AI cloning. I just don't think without a facilitator or without people essentially working on this app in order to create psychotherapeutic release or some type of medical response to speaking or thinking or reading. Like I read books on this app, so to me that's really the technology. That's the way to upgrade books into your consciousness, and then you can store it here what you read, so it's like you don't have to remember anything. It's all it's in the ether, it's in the cloud. So and once you read it, it's technically embedded in your fucking DNA. So you can't forget it. It's there, even though you may not be able to access it. It does change your consciousness. Reading books changes who you are.
Yeah, I think problematically so.
Yeah, but it's not problematically. That's just your opinion, because what's the downside and what's the upside? If you don't read books, your life is really boring. It's tasteless. It's flavorless.
Yeah, you got to always be reading something, but it comes down to the choice of it. A lot of this stuff is depressive in a big way on some of the modern literature as well as music.
Well, you pick. That's the thing. Is pick and choose what you want. Like you know why people like this app? Because they get to play the role of the DJ, or the the MC, and it's basically talk therapy. Have you ever been to an AA meeting or an NA meeting? Where you sit in a circle and people say, "I'm an addict. My name is Tony." And then everybody gets together and hugs at the end. That's fucking Clubhouse. It's the same fucking thing. People need talk therapy. They're fucking lonely. They're depressed. They do not have enough food, energy, sun, exercise. And they're not reading books because we are visual video people now who just consume information through videos.
Bro, I'm so confused about the president of Argentina. I really like him. But is he Jewish?
Yes, he's definitely Jewish. He converted. His closest advisor is a Chabadnik Jew, and he just loves Judaism. And I think that he's mixed up into the occult, and he is essentially an anarchist Satanist.
No. He's not an anarchist. He's a libertarian. You're talking about the current president?
I'm being facetious in the sense that Chabadnik deals with the Kabbalah, and they're all into the angelic, golem making, and mastering the angels for their own success in the material world. Like if Evital doesn't, if Evital thinks that all this, if he thinks Crowley is bad, I mean, where's your criticism from Menachem Schneerson, the Messiah of the Jews in Brooklyn, New York? Anybody can say anything.
Dude, I don't know. I don't know what you're going on about right now. I don't know.
They asked about Argentina, dude.
Yeah.
That's all I'm talking about.
I hate to tell you, I'm not schizophrenic and I'm not disassociated.
Okay, so let me. I feel like I need to respond to that. Yeah, I've seen him visit like Chabad people. There's some famous ones he's come to. I don't think he's converted yet. He clearly cares about Judaism, but I'm pretty sure he's still Christian. And then the other thing is, he's just like a very huge libertarian. He was a business dude, and then he became president. He's cut the budget like crazy. Like he's cut their expenditure by half. The dude prays to Milton Friedman, the economist, the Argentinian guy. Like he's very fiscally conservative.
Listen, I'm keeping up. I follow him on IG. I've been watching him every day. I mean, I know him, inside and out. I comment, Viva la libertad, carajo. Yo hablo español muy bien. Estudio en colegio para 4 años y en el colegio y la escuela de la secundaria. I like this guy. I know all about him.
Puedo comprender. Mi suegra solo habla español. Entonces necesito hablar español cuando yo, I guess veo mi suegra. Sí, yo puedo leer español también. I don't know what follow is on Twitter, but I follow him on Twitter and I read the Spanish too.
Yeah, I can't really. I mean, my Spanish sucks, but I love the guy. I mean, he's like Donald Trump. That's why people love him, because he's authentic.
Yeah, I agree. Well, he's not like Donald Trump in that he's he's a huge fan of Donald Trump. Donald Trump isn't as fiscally conservative. Well, maybe he is. The thing is, Milei is coming from such a socialist, communist state that Argentina was in, that maybe he looks more libertarian than he actually is. That's kind of the point. But regardless, I don't know. It's interesting. I hope. I was speaking to Argentinians. I went skiing